It's important to be clear about one thing: other sides will not give Kylian Mbappé as much space as Argentina gave him. He may never again find himself in a major game romping through such vacant pastures. There will be cones in training sessions who give him more of a race than Argentina's defense did on Saturday, although they probably won't kick him quite so hard or spend quite so much time grabbing at his shoulders. This was the perfect game for mbapp.But. He took full and ruthless advantage. Much was made of the fact that, at 19, Mbappé became the first teenager to score 2 goals in a World Cup knockout match since Pelé in 1958, but one 19 is not the same as another 19. By 19, Wayne Rooney was a fully developed player, and, given Euro 2004 was his peak, arguably already past his best as an England player. Mbappé, physically imposing as he is, has started only 44 league games. His career consists of half a season at Monaco, when he seemed suddenly to emerge, fully formed, as a terrifyingly effective forward in the Champions League, followed by a season on loan in Neymar's shadow at Paris Saint Germain pending a £166 million transfer this summer. For a player so untested, that figure seemed extraordinary when it was agreed, but it is increasingly coming to look like a bargain. There is still a question of where he fits in a team dominated by the look-at-me self-indulgence of the Brazilian, but even in classes dominated by the greatest attention-seeking show-off, the other kids can still learn. Getting to France and playing alongside somebody as comparatively selfless as Olivier Giroud, who laid on his second goal with a deftly weighted pass, must seem a tremendous relief. Although Didier Deschamps, putting aside for a moment the grumpiness that has characterized his World Cup, was moved to indulge a comparison to the Brazilian striker Ronaldo, it was another star of the 1998 World Cup, Mbappé, more obviously evoked. 20 years to the day after Michael Owen's goal against Argentina, Mbappé produced a remarkable tribute to win the penalty that gave France their 13th-minute lead. It would be another 5.5 months before Mbappé was born. There was, perhaps, less technical ability required for him than Owen. There was no feather touch with the heel to pull the ball into his stride, no sudden cut outside to go past the final defenders, but the sense of awe at the sheer pace of it felt familiar. The running styles are different as well. Owen a blur of roadrunner legs, Mbappé an astonishingly smooth and graceful acceleration, broad chest cruising through the open space of midfield as ever. Banega and Javier Mascherano gave hopeless pursuit before the surge right pass to panicked Marcos Rojo, who demanded his Owen finish by pulling him down. In truth, by then Mbappé may have overrun it, but it didn't matter. He had induced sufficient fear to draw the mistake. His goals, though, would come. His first showed remarkable awareness to know where the space was in the box, and technical ability to move across a thicket of players to find it. Franco Armani, perhaps, might have done a little better, seemingly caught between trying to save with foot or body, but credit is due Mbappé for striking the shot early enough that the keeper couldn't get himself set into a more balanced position. The second was perhaps easier, a low shot past an exposed keeper, but it followed the sort of breakaway that should over the years becomes a trademark. That's 3 goals now from Mbappé at this World Cup. Owen was the last teenager to score 2 at a tournament, but just as important is the sense of balance he has given France. In such an important match, he's shown all his talent, said Deschamps. And, even if he was supposed to defend, he still did attacks, and very good ones. That criticism was presumably, at least in part, a joke. They seem not to come naturally. But he did seem to signal he wasn't being entirely serious by baring his teeth for a moment as he waited for the next question. But the point of the system he has instilled is that it is necessary for Mbappé to play on the front foot. With Blaise Matuidi, a more defensive presence, operating on the left, if Mbappé does not get forward, France's shape, as it often did in the group stage, becomes a narrow 4-4-1-1. Mbappé breaking forward, going beyond Giroud, is as essential to their balance as Matuidi tucking in on the other side is. Matuidi will miss the quarter-final against Uruguay through suspension. Deschamps' task is to retain a balance that allows Mbappé his freedom without compromising the stability of the midfield. Uruguay would have provided a very different threat anyway. Deschamps suggested that Mbappé needs more space than Ronaldo, and Oscar Tabarez's team will not give him anywhere near as much of that as Argentina did. The quarter-final will be a different test and a different magnitude of test, but Mbappé is on this sort of upward trajectory that, within the confines of a tournament, makes anything seem possible. Kylian Mbappé is fast. This requires some clarification. Most professional soccer players are fast, in the sense that they move more quickly than the average person. Some are fast in a more impressive sense, in that they move more quickly than the average professional soccer player. The World Cup features many players who can cover a given distance swiftly, and a few players who can cover a given distance so swiftly that their speed approaches the upper limit of human athletic potential. This is generally what we mean when we say a player is fast. Mbappé is fast in a different way altogether. The 19-year-old French forward, who scored 2 goals in France's chaotic 4-3 win over Argentina in their World Cup knockout match on Saturday, does not merely play soccer more quickly than other people play soccer. He often seems to play soccer more quickly than other people can watch soccer. He pushes play to a point that seems to run slightly ahead of your ability to perceive it. Watching another fast player, Theo Walcott, say, you might excitedly think, look at him run. Watching Mbappé, your brain lurches and you think, this isn't happening, he shouldn't have gotten there already. 11 or so minutes into Saturday's match, Mbappé came up with a loose ball near the edge of the French area, about 80 yards from the Argentine goal. He tore forward. For a split second it appeared as though he might be going on a good run, the way a conventionally fast player might do. Then you realized he'd skipped through almost the entire Argentine defense in about 2 long strides, and your brain partially caught up, and you saw that he was already bearing down on the Argentine area, moving in a way that you now recognized less as running quickly than as teleporting slowly, so that by the time Marcos Rojo pulled him down for a penalty, the truly surprising thing was that Rojo managed to touch him at all, that they occupied the same plane of existence. The greatest soccer players all seem to have this ability to alter your perception of time. I'm speaking metaphorically and mystically here, of course, but that's what it feels like to watch them. Think of the way, when Lionel Messi touches the ball, the game radically slows down. Or the way, when Cristiano Ronaldo touches it, it skips a beat. My favorite thing about watching old videos of Pelé is the way he seems to roll time around with the ball, luring defenders into a slowed-down otherworld, and then leaving them there, while he rides the next light beam toward the goal. Mbappé, who joined Pelé today as one of only 4 teenagers ever to score at the World Cup, is the second youngest player at the tournament and still unfinished. Already, though, he has that quality of temporal magic. The ball finds him, and the lights in your head do the stretchy hyperspace thing that the stars outside the windows of the Millennium Falcon do. Argentina and France can be exhausting teams to follow because their wealth of individual talent is so often undermined by baffling infighting and self-defeating factionalism. Saturday's match seemed doomed to be engulfed by the same weary rumors and narratives. The Argentine players were in rebellion against their manager, Messi, possibly playing in his last World Cup, if you hadn't heard, still hadn't won a major tournament with his national team. France had looked drab and disappointing in its three group stage matches, raising questions about the legacy of 1998 and Yawn. What a thrill, then, in a game where most of the grown-ups seemed to be battling the weights of ancient legacies and unbearable stakes, to see things decided by a kid who ran, as if he were out to remind the world what magic is.